let's talk about the penalty because, you know, I keep the energy the same. Earlier on today on the show, I said that it looked, you know, Deleu's challenge on Doku. I get why people think it's a red card. I understand the interpretation PGMOL have, but I think it needs to be looked at. It's a red card offence. It's a dangerous tackle. It's a bad tackle. And I know why City fans feel aggrieved. Keep the same energy here. I can't understand how Isla, who is a player I rate, deliberately moves his arm around it was just, he has no need to handball it, but he does. And in the end, VAR said it was a natural position. But I guarantee you now, if any player does this in a different circumstance, it's a penalty. I think VAR bottled it. I think VAR crumbled. I think VAR decided, oh, we can't give Arsenal a penalty and potentially a win like this. Do you want to know why I think that? And by the way, we may never hear the audio recordings ever on this. And even if we do, they're likely to be doctored because they did something. Go back and watch the TV footage. They checked his arm movement, which you could clearly see was arm to ball. They checked it 3 times and they did something that was very interesting. So when they look to give penalties, they then go to check that the penalty is legitimate from an offside and was the ball in play perspective. They check the facts. So what they did, if you notice, they married up this camera angle with the camera angle that looks down the line to ensure the ball wasn't out of play. So my belief is they bottled it. The PGMOL, VAR decided we can't give Arsenal a win like this. It makes it far better for the Premier League if it's a 7-point gap. Maybe Forest go and nick a winner and make it 6 again, than a 9-point gap in the middle of January. Why are you checking if the ball is in or out of play if you think the arm is in a natural position? When sometimes you see penalty checks being done and they'll show you the VAR screen and they're checking whether it's offside or not. There's no point checking if a penalty, say a player runs through clean on goal and gets taken out by the goalkeeper. If you don't think it's a penalty, there is zero need to check whether it's offside, right? Because it becomes an irrelevance. You go to whatever the call was on the field of play. Why were they checking if the ball was in play or not? Somebody in the VAR room absolutely bottled it, or maybe, just maybe, a little call in area, a little text message on their phone. Don't give it. Don't give it. Because for me, we could all see what happened. He clearly moves his arm to the ball. It was stupid from Isla. There was no advantage to him, but it doesn't make it less of a handball. Absolutely ridiculous decision. Now, what I will stress on this is that it being a handball doesn't negate from Arsenal's performance. Because here at the Football Terrace, 1, the audience is amazing and has brains. 2, myself, the host, ample brain capacity and IQ to have 2 different conversations about the same game. You can call out a terrible decision, as I did with Deleu's and his terrible tackle today in the Manchester derby. And I segregated that from how good Carrick and Manchester United were in terms of their performance. The same as fans can look at a decision and go, that should have been a pen, but equally criticize the lack of intensity, the poor ball speed, the lethargic nature of the Arsenal performance. You can have both those conversations at exactly the same time. It's only the people with the low self-esteem, the low IQ, the low brain capacity, the rage baiters that can't separate those conversations. And I understand it. TikTok's your platform. Go do your thing. But for me, I thought this was an horrendous decision. I almost guarantee you, if it was an Arsenal player doing it, it's a penalty. But I feel with City losing the game today, this is almost a game state moment for the league. We need to keep the title race alive. It's better for the viewing figures. It keeps City within a chance. Let's make sure we give it their way. Especially if they feel they messed up with the Deleu's situation. Especially if they come out and say we should have sent Deleu's off. Of course they're going to give a decision that keeps the title race alive. Now, Arsenal, in a separate conversation isolated from that. Should have played a lot better today in the second half, especially, and should have got goals in the first half of the game. I mean, I thought Arsenal, their lack of finishing in the first half was really, really poor. But I can't quite understand why that isn't a penalty. So you're going to have to, you guys are going to have to explain to me why you think it's not. The arm moves to the ball. It's not in a natural position with the way it comes round. I've seen, I can't believe it weren't given. And again, you've got to answer one question. If they don't believe it's a penalty because the arm's in a natural position, why, after a minute delay, are they caught on camera checking whether the ball went out of play or not? That's the bit I can't get out of my mind with this. So for me, absolute stone cold robbery of a penalty. But of course, it being a penalty doesn't negate the fact that Arsenal should have done a hell of a lot better in the general play, should have created more in the general play, and should have taken their chances. You can have those two conversations at the exact same time. Let's look at some of your comments that are coming through here. Terry, remember what I said about the handball rule? No, you did, Joshua Jack. You called it out. I mean, it's the handball rule is a really weird one. There was a handball earlier on this season, Man United versus Wolves. And I remember people going, no, not handball. United fans can't ask for it. Everybody's missed this press release that's come out from the PGMOL that it was a stonewaller. There's loads that don't get given. They end up admitting to later. And depending upon the team and their circumstance, people don't take note of it. This is very likely to be another one. It depends whether or not they're able to doctor very quickly the VAR recordings. Huge opportunity missed by our boys today. So disappointed is what John says here. Yeah, I understand it, mate. And I think Gooners should feel an element of disappointment. What's really interesting to see, though, is the Arsenal fans that have emotional intelligence or not. You can be disappointed with this result without throwing baby outside with the bathwater, because you have gone 7 points clear of City today, but you can criticize today's performance. There's a lot of Arsenal fans, especially some of the content creators, that are really struggling at the moment because their negativity about their own football club doesn't really generate. I've seen a lot of the TikTokers just doing weird stuff, fake tears, making up random. I saw one Arsenal TikToker that's an Arteta outer that's been talking about, like, he keeps doing things about Declan Rice's wife or girlfriend, whichever she is. Don't care personally, and I mean that in a nice way. So I hear you. So I think you can be disappointed with today without going crazy. Deitch is a prick. Ginger always sets up like this against us. No penalty because of VAR. Bad game today. Fuming with today. Arsenal fans are fickle. Come on, you Gooners. Yodan here says we shouldn't be depending on a penalty to win. The game was so boring. Happy for the 7 points, but should have been 9. Do you know what, Yodan, sorry, you're right. You can criticize not creating more and or scoring the chances. You can also criticize not getting a penalty. These two things can just coexist. And I think we need to press and push home as one of the leading football communities out there, that these two things can coexist. We don't need to do the weird Andrew Tate manosphere, I'm tougher than your average bear, so everything, I'm accountable for everything nonsense. We can just have honest conversations. I feel like our players know Man City's loss, so they don't feel a sense of urgency. It's like we don't need to win, don't just lose. Maybe. I think it's a fair point. One of the things we were talking about this week on the terrace is that with Arsenal, there is this element of, like, you were the favourites today. I think I predicted you to win 2-1. So I didn't think you were going to, maybe I said 3-1. I think I said 2-1. But there was always an air to guard against complacency. But I don't know if you were complacent because you started off with a lot of chances. It's just the urgency and the intensity wasn't there in the game. Part of that, though, and I want to give credit to Nottingham Forest, is they sat in really deep, were really compact. And I said this on Straight Facts yesterday. I said it on Top 6 Show Thursday. If you've actually watched Nottingham Forest play this year, although they're down near the bottom, against a lot of the better teams, they've been really hard to beat. Because what they don't do against Arsenal, what they don't do against City, is they don't open up like when they're playing the mid-table and the bottom teams. So a very different kettle of fish. Webb said, If your arm moves towards the ball, it's a penalty, regardless of the rules. I mean, some are claiming that Anderson kind of smashed into the back of him. Personally, if I'm being honest with you, I think that's not the way I interpreted it. Yes, there's a little bit of pressure. I'm looking at it now on my screen. There's a little bit of pressure from Anderson from behind, but it's a clear movement of the arm towards the ball. I don't know if I have to watch it all again. I don't know if Isla knows if it's Anderson or an Arsenal player. If he thinks it's an Arsenal player, I get why he's handballed it. Maybe that's why he did it. But yeah, for me, I'd give the penalty 110%.